One question for everyone on the panel here is, what is an immediate next step that every interested person in this room could take tomorrow, this spring, this year, next year, to see if farming might be right for them? What's an immediate next step you can take?
I'd say pick up a shovel and turn over some sod and plant a seed. The most important thing you can do is just try it to figure out if it's right for you, because it's really not right for everyone.
I agree with Jessica. You just have to go out and start working. It's a lot of hard work, and unless you actually do the physical labor and realize how difficult it is, you might change your mind. It's just a lot of hard work, but it's worthwhile work.
I would definitely agree, especially if you're not an experienced gardener, is, raise some plants for a season, even if you have an apartment and you have 4 tomato plants in a pot. See how it goes. And another thing I would say is just sit down and make a vision of where do you think you want to be in 5 years or 10 years. And just sit down and think about that. And is that realistic? What hurdles do you have? Can you overcome them? Is it suitable with your personality? So just to even just sit down and dream and just think about a tentative plan. And then if you write that down and say, okay, how do I work backwards from there?
Yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, really the practical experience, you've got to go out there and do some to really know. The internet don't get it done for you. Reading doesn't get it done for you. You've got to go out there and do it and live it, and there's no substitute for that. I'll add just one more thing. There are tools out there to help you. For example, one of the things we do at the Countryside Conservancy, we offer a business short course called Exploring the Small Farm Dream. Is starting a farm business right for you. It was a curriculum that was developed on the East Coast, and we brought it here to Ohio. And it's 4 classes, 3 hours apiece, with about 10, 12 hours of homework in between. And it takes you on kind of a disciplined look at yourself, looking at all the major questions you should be asking yourself about whether you are really suited to do the kinds of things they were talking about, whether you are really suited to get your butt out there in the cold when it's raining, and whether you can stay up at night and pick those veggies to be ready for the market the next day, and on, all those kinds of practical questions, as well as the kind of business questions that you've got to be thinking about. And when you come out the other end of that course, you have a pretty decent perspective on whether this is for you or not. If it is, then you've got some clear directions about what you've got to do to get your act together to actually make it happen. So that's a worthwhile practical add-on to what they were saying.
Okay, I think I've got 3 things. One, I would find somebody who's got a green dot on their name tag, because I think talking to someone who's doing it, seeing if they'd be willing to let you come out to their place and work with them, mentor you, I think that is kind of a little like farmer reality show that you need to watch and interact with, because I think it's a lot harder than you think it's going to be. And I think I see a lot of folks who kind of come to the table with big, grandiose dreams and want to, start this 5-acre operation with greenhouses and solar energy, and they're going to sell the produce, and everyone's going to be wonderful and eating vegetables and smiling. And I think you need to spend some time kind of grounding yourself in reality with someone who's successful at doing it. So I would encourage you to take that first step. Connect with a farmer who's doing it and beg them to kind of either sit down and talk with you about what it's really like, or better yet, kind of spend a day with them on the farm, kind of understanding what it's like. When I was with Mick Prochko, who's with Covered Bridge Gardens, I spent a whole day planting leeks with him, and it was a terrific day. I learned a lot in between planting leeks, but I think bending over for 8 hours in the field, trying to put those in, I think Karen Moore was with me. Yeah. So I would suggest that. And number 2 would be to think about why you're doing this. And I think this kind of goes back to exploring the small farm dream. Why do you want to do this? What's motivating you to take this on? Is it an opportunity for you to get back to your community? Is it because you want to make money? I would really kind of think through what your motivations are. And third step, if you decided to yes, you talk to the farmer and you think, oh, I'm stoked, this is what I want to do, I would really then begin to, as Cindy said, kind of work backwards. What do you want to market and to whom? And who that market is. Because I think figuring out that end question, then you work backwards from there if you get to that point where you really want to do it. So those would be 3 steps I would suggest.
You mean we're not all going to be smiling?
You will be, but sometimes you'll be angry and you'll be crying too. I think it's part of the game. Yeah.
Can I just add one thing? One thing that really helped for me while thinking about the whole setting up of the business is I sat down and made a list of this is what I know and this is what I don't know. And in the no column was I know how to raise plants, I know how to develop a marketing plan and launch it. And then everything was in the don't know. I then sat down and said, who does know this? So, for example, I have a friend who's a CPA and she works in business development, knows nothing about farming. But I knew she was my go-to person for how do you deal with taxes, things like that. So that, it worked really well.
That's a great point.